Okay. Muting everybody. So Wendy, you're going to want to come off mute.
So I would like to welcome you to our exciting convention highlights review. Wasn't this the best convention ever? I thought so. We're going to try to keep this meeting to 30 minutes because we do respect your time. And so the four of us, Lisa Powers, Judy Densler, Wendy Huff, and Mac Atkinson, have chosen four of our favorite talks to highlight. So first up is Lisa on the Dr. Chen Interview, Products and Philosophy. And then Judy on social media, helps build our Sunrider business. Then I'll be recounting the wisdom, the apples of gold from Coach Dar, our motivational speaker. And then finally, Mac's impressions of the highlights and special feature that will be added to our Summer to Fall Challenge coming up in September. So please stay with us till the end. So to start off, Lisa, please.
Okay. You know, it's always my favorite part when they interview the original Dr. Chen, and we really had a treat this time because it wasn't just Dr. Tei-Fu Chen, it was his son, Dr. Reuben Chen, talking with one another. And his son was interviewing the father. And so it was very warm and family feeling. And he asked questions that were just deeply moving. And Dr. Chen talked about his youth and why health was so important to him. And it's because he was an unhealthy child. They didn't have enough food or medicine when he was a child. And his grandfather would go out into the elements and find things to make for him to support him nutritionally. And he said they absolutely stunk and they would have to chase him down to get it down him. And then at one point, Reuben said, yeah, when he first started working, doing Sunrider, our basement smelled horrible because he was in there making all this stuff. So there was an element to, this real connected feeling with the two of them. He even shared that Reuben asked him, what got you started doing this? And he had worked for another company. And he said he would take with him into his lab the herbs that he'd gotten sent from his family out of Asia, and he would make his own concoctions for himself. And he said that actually many, many times, but this one specific time, someone had a baby who was terribly in a lot of stomach pain. And Dr. Chen gave that one of the lab partners, he gave him some herbs to take home to the baby, which are assimilated. And he said it was so effective for that baby that the man came back and asked for more. And he said he was constantly doing that, making some kind of a concoction for different people. And then he decided, why don't I do this as a business? And it really was never his intention to do that until all these people started having such benefits, the same type that he'd had when he was a child. And I have to say, we all talk about formulation and concentration and food grade herbs and regeneration. And it's a profound message. And here I am, and this is what has happened to me for 33 years. As I talk about this, my whole body is in chills. Because as I speak about this, it is still so moving to me that these principles are in place for us, and that when we get to share these principles, it's profoundly helping to change people's lives in the highest of principles for our health. Food is our highest principle of where we get health. And we have the opportunity to turn around and teach this to people. But I'm here to tell you, there ain't nothing like hearing Dr. Tei-Fu Chen talk about it. So when you hear him, and when I heard him after 33 years of hearing him, I got so emotional hearing him talk about it that I started bawling. That's not uncommon for me to be emotional because that's my personality. But specifically, when something reaches my heart and when something is based in right principles, because for me personally, 33 years of having been ill and found an answer, and then thinking about other people need to hear about this. And I got to tell you, it was 3 months of me eating these foods before I felt any difference. But what was happening was I was going to different trainings to learn about it, and people were speaking about it, and I understood the principle, and it made so much sense to me that this was the right principle to live by. And it was friends that I trusted who were talking. And so I just went with it. I just decided, okay, I'm going to do this. After about 3 months, I started feeling the difference. I started feeling my body come alive. And it's good for people to hear that it took me 3 months, because some people feel it, boom, right away, but not everybody does. I was one of those that ate sugar and fat, and I was numb and ill. And that's how I'd spent my life. So I was 38 years old and I was not well. And I did not think I would live to be 50. I really didn't think I would live to see grandchildren. And so, so what happened for me is that after 3 months of eating the products, then I thought other people need to know about this. But I was so shy, so introverted. I'm like, how am I going to do this? And so about 3 months later, as I'm experiencing these foods, Dr. Chen is coming to town to speak. And I went to hear him. And I feel the same today when I hear him talk about regeneration and health as I did that night. I was lit by this man. Not only did I feel that he was brilliant and that he really got what health was about, but he had an ability to share that and really move people to a different place of expecting a different way to create health in their body. And when I came home that night, I was like, not only am I going to tell people about this and turn this into a business for myself so that I can eat more of these products and use more of the skincare and use all the things that they've developed, but I couldn't even sleep that night because I was so excited I was so thrilled to know that there was something out there that was honest and real and that I could count on and that I could speak about with from my heart and conscientiously and know that I was speaking the truth to people. And so for me to hear him again last week was just such an emotional thing because it stirred me up again to know how important these products are and to try and talk about what he talked about on the convention. There's no way, because we've all heard it. We just haven't all heard him. And so I'm happy to know that we'll be able to share Dr. Chen himself speaking about this. And I'm looking forward to all of you who weren't at that convention being able to actually see this yourself, because there is nothing like it. Nothing like it. You will. And I have to quote Bob and Donna Dara, who said last week, when they came into Sunrider, they were taught regeneration. Yeah, they were taught regeneration, is how he put it. Yeah, okay, regeneration. He goes, but when I saw him on the convention, it was like, I got it. And oh my gosh, that meant so much to me, because that's what happens when you see him and hear him, you know you've got something outstanding. So that's what I'm going to say about that first part, because I want every one of you and everyone out there to hear Chen himself. And so next, I think we're going to talk to Judy about an important part of the convention for her. Unmute yourself.
That might help, but I'm not going to tell you what I just said. No, I said, that's a great job. I have to say that when my husband came home, he was walking down the hall while I was listening in the office, and he goes, wow, I miss that guy. So all of us are especially attached to hearing Dr. Chen in person because he's so able to put it in a more simplistic, take very complex things, reduce it down, and so you understand it. And that's really the mark of a brilliant person and a good teacher. So it was fabulous. So you may think it's odd, I'm going to talk about social media, and it is, because I'll have to be honest, I have come kicking and screaming to the modern age. But I so appreciated this part by Lindsay Tompkins because she dealt with social media. She's a very experienced, she teaches it, she's been in direct sales before, and I don't know if it's the way she said it or how she did it, but I finally kind of get it. It made more sense to me. And I see I've always thought I needed to, but I never wanted to too much, kind of like eat your vegetables type thing. But I was very impressed with this. So I hope to share a few top points. And then if I don't use up all my time, then maybe the rest of the panel can add to it. She began by giving some top mistakes that people make. And I like that because my experience with Facebook, even as recent as yesterday, is you can make mistakes. Out of nowhere, I was starting to be congratulated on my anniversary and some people that I just got married because I was just trying to do my profile. So it's a learning experience. So I don't know if you can, understand that, but anyway, so here's some top mistakes, and I'm not going to go through all of them. She gave about 10, but the first one was cold messaging people you don't know. So that would be a cold message. You're not just out there trying to market and message at people you don't know. Thought that was a good tip. And which follows that you wouldn't invite them, people you don't know, to be your friend, to be a part of your anything, you don't know them. So that was kind of a relief to me. The other thing is, wasn't too happy to hear this, but I understand it. You're making a mistake if you're not doing Facebook Live. That's a very valuable asset to us. So if you're not, you need to learn how. And I really liked at the end of this, this little segment, she said, every business needs TLC. And we think that means tender loving care. But she broke it down to traffic, leads, and conversions. So traffic meaning you're trying to drive people to your page to learn more about you. And of course, through adding followers, then that will produce leads. And then conversions are people that once they've gone there, they're now a lead, then you need to learn closing conversations and actually bring them into your business, whether it be another business builder or a consumer. So one thing I really liked too was she kind of explained, because there's pages here, pages there, what do I do, what goes on what page, and she talked about a Facebook funnel. And I really appreciated that because it put everything in order. So the top of the funnel is your personal page, and that's where people get to know you, your lifestyle, what you're about, what you want them to know about you. And then the next step, as the funnel gets a little narrower, is the business page. And she said, use this like your pseudo website. And so she gave a good illustration. If you go to, like, say you're looking up a restaurant because you're going to pick up food there and you want to know the hours and you want to see the menu. You don't want to see pictures of their new puppy or how good their garden's growing this year, or news about their children, because you don't know them. You just want facts and information. So that's what the business page is about. And then a very important page is, they may, from your personal page, they may or may not go to your business page, but from that, you're determining how interested they are. And so then you create a Facebook group page. And this is where you really get to the nitty gritty of it, about products, business. You can create monthly selling. It helps you motivate people. You can have challenges, different things. It's about more product info and other things to do. And she also mentioned about private messaging, giving some information there. So all of these together help drive your business. So you really are not cold calling, as we used to call it, or doing cold messages. They come down the funnel and they're coming to you. These are people who are truly interested. So we're not wasting our time nor theirs because they want to know your information. So I thought it was a very interesting. I hope that's one that we'll have in the future to review. So I don't know if any of you had anything to add to that.
I just remember her, saying, giving tips to not offend people. You want to do it in such a way that you're not bothering your friends. So that was very helpful.
Yeah, very good. And I don't know, Wendy, are you ready to give us some great tips on Coach Dar?
Yes.
Great.
I enjoyed this motivational talk so much and appreciated Coach Dar as a person, her message, her honesty, and courageous spirit through many adversities. Working as a therapist with traumatic brain injury patients, she was teaching them to hold on to hope they could get better. Her personal goal was to start a family, but then because of a freak accident, she had a stroke and had to change her shift, but still held on to her purpose, to her optimism, to basically put into practice the principles she'd been teaching others, and they do work. Then she had more strokes, but she wouldn't give in to the pessimism. Limiting, yes, but she said, work hard every day, align yourself with your life's purpose, a growth mindset, resilient mindset. And after her third stroke recently, she couldn't talk, but here she was speaking eloquently to us. Her purpose was and still is to lead people to greatness. And she taught us 5 principles, which I'm so excited to share with you today. So the first principle is called why power over willpower. You can force yourself to get up in the morning and call your people and do the Zoom meetings with sheer willpower, thinking, I have to do this, I have to do this. But you know what? It's not sustainable. At some point, you're going to say, I don't want to do this. Perhaps you didn't have a strong enough reason or motivation to begin with. So instead, let's look at your why power. That's knowing your life's purpose and seeing how doing these activities align with it. Writing down your mission statement, it's connected to your core values. It's what you want to be remembered for after you're gone. And that creates passion. So for example, simply put, my life's purpose is to love and serve God and neighbor. Sunrider fits in perfectly with the neighbor part. I feel motivated to get out of bed in the morning to help people. I get to do these things and I don't have to. It's a blessing. So that's number 1, why power over willpower. Next is be agile. Emotionally, physically, mentally, it's the ability to pivot. Coach Dar wasn't able to have children, but she trained and taught many. She used the example of the palm trees. They bend with the wind in a storm. It doesn't break and it won't break you either. So learn to remain emotionally neutral. Well, how? Ask yourself, is this an emotional trigger or information I should respond to? Don't let emotions take you out of the game. Emotions should help us, not hurt us. The next one, number 3, is the power of reframing. It's all about perspective. A basketball player performs badly. He feels like a failure. He starts doubting his contribution or his ability. But the truth is, it's just a bad day. It's not a bad life. So reframe bad events. The game was bad. I'm not bad. I've had countless successes. Don't make it bigger than it is. She said to write down the negative, then write about what is true. Then reframe how you see it, focusing on what you do have, not what's gone badly. View in the solution mindset, not the victim mindset. So that was the power of reframing. Number 4, raise the bar. Hold yourself to a higher standard. Want to win. Be the person who lifts people up. When you walk in the room, do people feel like we're winning today? She's here. I want to align myself with that person. We don't give 5 effort, we give 10. Would you want a surgeon with an okay attitude? No, you want him to be above average. Believe you can achieve greatness. So what is greatness? It's the combination of energy, words, and action. Number 5, be the one. So what do you want to be? What do you want to be great at doing? Go for the peak performance lane. Hone it, learn it, and go after it. Pick a product or a theme and become the expert and share it with the world. Become a specialist in what you're passionate about. Raise others up. You're the making of your own story. So great stuff. Thank you, Coach Dar. Great stuff. So now, Mac, would you please tell us what you enjoyed?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, Lisa, Judy, Wendy, fabulous review. I appreciate that. I enjoyed all of those segments as well and thought there were 2 highlights. To Lisa's point, there's nothing like hearing from Dr. Chen. I think Judy covered a tough one because I think we're all trying to attract people to our Sunrider business, and it's been very challenging in the last year to 18 months to get out and to meet people as we typically would. So social media is a way that we can certainly use it to attract people to us and ultimately to our business. And Wendy, to your point, the Coach Dar one really hit me too. And you said it a couple of times in your presentation, but what resonated with me so well there is, we don't have to do this. We have something that we get to do that we so love and enjoy. And nothing like getting up in the morning and wanting to go and do what you want to do and love. So great stuff there. Over and above those segments, certainly a couple of them resonated with me. There was one that was done by actually a young gentleman that was just hired in Australia as a business development manager, and his name is Chen. And what Raman talked about, which was something Judy alluded to earlier, was the importance of gaining some experience, knowledge, being brave enough to try live social media events, Facebook Live, even doing these Zoom events and so forth, but doing as much as you can in a live setting and getting out there, because when you look at information about Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, any of the platforms that are out there on social media, the one thing they say is video is king. And as much as you can do that live, the better you will attract people to the brand that you're trying to create for yourself, which really begins ultimately with the relationship. It's always building the relationship, especially on social media, before anything comes up about business or products or any of that kind of stuff. So again, I really like what Raman had to talk about there. Something else that I found fascinating is, for those of us that have been part of this Rising Stars group with Bob and Donna Dara for a period of time, you would have heard already that Bob and Donna talk a lot about the 8 steps to success within Sunrider. And again, it's the things we all know about. It's consuming the products ourselves, it's sharing with others and building our personal group. It's identifying the key leaders that can be our builder legs and our rising stars that come out of that group. And then it's the things that we do, the events we attend, the books we read, the videos we're watching, the people we're interacting with, etc. And what I found so wonderful is Sunrider kind of created what they say was their 7 core values, okay? Which again, to me, tied right back into the 8 steps that we've been doing, which made me feel so good that we've been on the right track all along with how we're approaching our business and what we're doing. Another thing that I thought was fun, because I got a chance to participate in, is there was a whole segment on testimonials, and I'm happy to share with everyone that the one I did on sports caps, but there were some great things, including a young lady in Israel that was talking about smart gummies and a whole variety of things. Some of our Hungarian group got together and did something on top joy and ease, just a variety of things out there. So hopefully we can get some of those in front of everybody. And I guess just to kind of end my section here, I think one of the great lessons as I look back in convention was actually a slide that was put up on the screen. And I can't even remember in what section it was, but it was a quote by Maya Angelou. And it said, "People will forget what I said, people will forget what I did, but people will never forget how I made them feel." And look, folks, you know, whether our interest is in sharing products or helping others to a better lifestyle and wellness, or whether it's truly expanding our Sunrider businesses, again, so important. Get our goals, put them on paper, develop an action plan with your upline mentor, whoever you're working with. And then hopefully that same person is someone that can help you to be accountable. And if not, find somebody you trust. It doesn't have to be your direct upline. It can be anybody in the groups or whatever, your friends, etc. But just find somebody that can help you to stay accountable with those goals. Lastly, it was alluded to already, but I will share a little something with you guys. I didn't know, and we never know when Sunrider is going to release these video segments from convention. So I was probably a very bad boy. Okay, so don't tell too many people about this, but I did Zoom record the section where Ruben interviewed Dr. Chen. I Zoom recorded Dr. Chen's section on philosophy of regeneration. I Zoom recorded the session Judy talked about with Lindsay Tompkins. I Zoom recorded Coach Dar, which is what Wendy talked about. And I think what we're going to do, if you guys are okay, is I'll provide the links to all of those things to Wendy, to Judy, and to Lisa, and then they can disseminate to any of you that would like to see those things to be able to go back and look at them again. So one preface, please forgive me, these are not professional recordings. You're probably going to hear dogs barking in the background. You may hear a door open or close because the UPS guy came, but I did do my best that I possibly could to keep it quiet in the background so we can actually listen to these things again and hear. And again, if you weren't able to listen to them before, and even if you were, something else is going to resonate with you that you hear a second or a third time when you go back on these things. So wanted to let you guys know about that. Kind of one other thing that I hope it's okay we talk about when you do these is Judy, maybe you can jump back in again now too, because I know that this group in particular has been doing a great job with these seasonal change kind of challenge groups that have been formulated. And the next one's going to be what, Judy, summer coming into fall. And maybe you can share with everybody a little bit about the thinking and what you're doing there timing wise. And then I'll share something else that maybe can be a special treat with folks if you want to jump in and play with us. So Judy.
Okay, well, here it is. I was thinking we had a lot more time, but we are headed right into September, which begins fall, and different areas are a little different. But for those of you who haven't participated, what we've been doing is that the 5-element theory also corresponds to the 5 seasons of the year. Now you may think, wait a minute, I think there's 4 seasons. Well, actually, fall is so important as a transition month. It actually has 2 segments to it. So we're real close to what they call late summer, or in some areas, I believe it was when we were in the Midwest, they referred to this as Indian summer. And so what we do is we try to focus on the foods we eat to be more in line with the season, but we also focus on the particular Sunrider products that are more fully utilized during the season, because we're headed into the earth element. And that is so very important. Now, some people view September as heading into winter or the end of the year, but in reality, in some ways, it's the beginning and it's sort of the center. We speak of grounding. So it's very important. So that's probably talking too much. So what it's about is to please join us. We set 10 days, have a challenge in that we're challenging ourselves. We focus on the foods I mentioned, and we have a great time because we have a special Facebook page that's just about that. And people post, we encourage one another, we share recipes. And honestly, this was my first break into social media. And I love this idea because I know what's expected of me. And I enjoy that. And so it's a very safe place and a real good education. So please join us for that. We will send out information probably the first week of September or early on, so people can be sure they have what they need to participate, and haven't set the exact dates, but definitely by probably September 15th. We'll all get together and decide that and get that info out. And sorry for going on and on. As you might know, I love this. So, thank you.
Judy, that's great. And I'm excited about this next seasonal change we're talking about too. And what I kind of wanted to share with everybody right now, if it's okay, is a short story. First of all, let's jump back about 6-7 months. Was talking with some of my Hungarian leaders, and one of them in particular was saying, Mac, we're coming out of COVID, we're coming out of winter time, we're heading into summer, and again, this is 5 or 6 months ago. We need to get people up and moving again and thinking about Sunrider and taking action and just moving their bodies, because so many of us have been restricted for so long, quarantined in our homes. We need to get out and move again. So what we did with this group in Hungary, and it was not just Sunriders, okay, it was also friends and family of some of the Sunriders that decided to participate in this, but we came up with a walk, run, bike, swim, or basic movement challenge, for lack of a better word, where the Hungarians wanted to cover the distance between Budapest and Los Angeles over a 5-month period of time, okay? And amazingly, there were 28 participants, I believe. They all accomplished their goal in this thing. What they did is they got a little app on their phone, a free one. You don't have to spend money or anything, but it's one of the apps that tracks your footsteps or your movements. And by movements, again, it could be anything from walking, running, swimming, biking, or just simply moving your elbow up and down if you can't get out of a chair, okay? But movement is movement in this regard. And tying in so well with what's going to happen with the seasonal program, what we were thinking about is we may throw this out to the group here. And again, it's not going to be a Budapest to LA kind of distance. We want to make this achievable. We want to make it something that can work for everybody. And again, you guys, the idea is to, within this private Facebook group, as well as the recipes and the other things we're doing on the seasonal thing, we can be reporting in our distance. We can be sharing some of the Sunrider products we're using on our virtual journey or whatever we're doing, okay? But again, begin to share and get out there and move again as a team, sharing these wonderful foods, sharing the idea of moving from summer into fall, and again, working together. And we'll get back to everybody with some of the details here. Again, it's not going to be a big thing. We were thinking maybe a goal of, I don't know, a couple 100 miles maybe during a 3-month period of time, which if you do the math, it only comes down to about 1 mile a day. And I bet if we all looked at our given activity in a day, we easily are walking 1 mile. I know I do, just up and down my stairs, chasing the dogs around the house, et cetera, et cetera. So again, we might want to make this doable for everybody. But what we found with the Hungarian group is everyone loved it. They were interacting with each other. They were sharing their stories. They were having a good time. And again, my wife is brilliant. I say that whether she watches this recording or not, but she always reminds me the most important thing I can do every day is to be joyful and to be happy. And if we can find things like this to bring us joy, make us happy while we're doing the things that we love, then why not? So again, you guys will be hearing more about this from Wendy, Judy, and Lisa as they communicate coming into this next summer to fall timing. And I just hope you all want to participate with us, because I've already got my free app and I can't wait to get going again. So thank you. That's what I wanted to share. Judy, Wendy, Lisa, parting comments today for everybody?
I just wanted to thank everyone for showing up, and we're so excited that Mac broke the rules and videotaped the best parts of the convention, and so we're gonna send those links out to you, and so you'll get to enjoy these. So hopefully we whet your appetite, and so thank you so much for coming, and I guess we're done.
Well, thank you. You know, Wendy, I'm going to stop the recording real quick. Okay.